Same plan, same prompts, same MCP server, 2 Claude models, and one of them cost twice as much. I gave Claude Opus 4.8 and the brand new Fable 5 the exact same job. Build me a complete habit tracker for iOS with a home screen widget, starting from a brand new project. One shot, no help. I tracked every second, every token, every dollar, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly which model you should be using in Claude Code. Quick context in case you missed the news, Fable 5 is the first model in Anthropic's Claude 5 family. It's a new tier called Mythos class that sits above Opus. Thinking is always on and you literally cannot turn it off. And it costs double, $10 in, $50 out per million tokens. And Opus 4.8 is 5 and 25. So the question isn't just which one is smarter, it's whether double the price actually buys you anything on a real application. So here are the rules for this test. I created 2 new projects. These 2 are React Native Expo projects, brand new, super simple. Nothing is installed in there yet. On the right, we have Fable, and on the left, we have Opus. The app is a habit tracker, and I want to handle streaks, haptics, I want local notifications, and a GitHub-style heat graph of your consistency. And the part that I expect at least one of them to fumble is a real home screen widget that shows the heat graph. Quick note on their starting point. I created 2 new projects. These 2 are React Native Expo projects. Nothing is installed in there yet. But I'm going to install the same tooling so that the models don't waste time in boilerplate and just setting up everything. So the only thing that I actually want is to install some of the skills that I created. For example, app icon. This skill will allow Claude to actually generate an icon for the application. Now here I have the skill, app icon. Because in my plan, I actually have that in the requirements. So I'm just going to install the same skill in both projects. And I'm going to start Claude with the flag dangerously skip permissions. This is so that I don't have to hit enter every time. Now, right now I have Fable 5 on the right. So on the left, I'm going to change the model to be Opus. Notice that I'm using extra high effort in both. Now, in my experience, no matter how good the AI model is, if you just prompt build me a habit tracker, you will get the generic AI UI. You know, that one that has like cards, very prominent cards and purple gradients, and it's just going to look bad. So the best way I found to steer Claude toward a UI that I personally like and I would actually ship is not a clever prompt. It's giving it real production examples to reference. So for that, I'm gonna be using my MCP server, and it basically gives examples of how a good UI looks like to the model. So for example, it will have access to the Plátano template. The Plátano template, in my opinion, is one of the best UIs that I've created. It works on both iOS and Android. We can quickly see here how this looks like. It's just best practices, trying to keep it simple. Now, both agents can reach the code through the MCP server. So if I go to my profile here and scroll down a little bit, you'll find the configuration for the MCP server. You can just press copy setup, and Claude will have access to real components, checks the package.json for trusted packages and dependencies for the projects, and builds on top of patterns that already survived production. So that's the entire trick. Once you give the configuration, just copy it, give it to Claude. You should be able to check the MCP by doing /MCP. And as you can see here, I have Code with Beto connected with 19 tools, which basically allow Claude to reference all my courses, lessons, videos, transcripts, code examples, which is, I would say, the most important part that we want right now. And it's available for Fable. Either way, if you don't want to use the MCP, what matters for today is that both models get the exact same access. Even playing field. Okay, I think we're ready. Let's hit enter. I'm going to hit enter first in Opus 8 because, you know, it's the older model. So let's hit enter here, and now we wait. So what I'm watching for right now is that both models actually use the MCP, that they reference the code, the haptics, the onboarding flow. If they ship just generic code, that's a bad sign. And of course, the Expo widget. Okay, I can see on the left that Opus 4.8 is gathering Inkigo and Plátano references. So those are the premium projects, and it's using the MCP for that. Similarly, Fable 5 is doing the same. It's checking the examples before they actually start writing code. This is great. Quick pause while these two burn tokens. Huge thank you to the channel members. You are literally covering the API bill for tests like this. If you're not a member yet and you want to support the channel, this is the best way to do it. You also get members only advanced content and early access to everything new on the channel. Okay, so my current session limit has been reached and it's gonna be resetted in 3 hours. Right now, I'm using usage credits. I actually have like $40 in here and it has spent $2 already. They still have a couple things to do. It's generating the app icon, very interesting. On the left, we have Opus 4.8. It's right now building the onboarding. Okay, so Fable 5 went ahead and compiled the application on my phone. How wild is that? And now I think it's done. Yeah, Fable 5 has said that we have the first version. It installed it on my iPhone 17 Pro directly, give it a name, give it an icon. And at the same time, Opus 4.8 is still cooking. It's 40 minutes in. Let's wait a moment. Okay, and Opus 4.8 is running the application on a simulator. It didn't run it on my physical device. It's still nice, but I'm not surprised. Fable 5 really surprised me by running it directly on my phone. Okay, so Opus 4.8 is going wild because it cannot run the application. So at this point, I'm just going to stop it. It's been close to 50 minutes. So I'm just gonna press escape. So it stopped. But before we dive into the application, I want to take a moment and actually see the cost of this, right? Because even if the Fable app is a bit better, is it really worth spending a lot of money on it? So I'm gonna run /cost and see the session cost on Fable. And let's do the same on the left. Okay, so if we put them side by side, we can see that the total cost on the left was $21 versus 33 using Fable 5. Now, why is $21? Because it's supposed to be 50%, right? We built the same project. Now, the total duration was 49 minutes. Opus 4.8 generated 4,100 lines of code, and Fable 5 only added 3,200. So that tells me that Fable 5 was able to do better abstractions. We'll get to the code review in a moment, but so far, Fable is winning because it generated less code. Code is a liability. As a software engineer, I want less code. So another point for Fable 5. Now let's actually review the code. Yes, I know how to review code. Okay, it looks great. I'm, to be honest, happy with the code. Nothing surprised me. This is what I would expect of Opus 4.8 with extra high effort. And of course, I gave it great examples. So I really like the structure. I really like how it created everything. But one thing is that the screens, it went ahead and created them inside the routes, and that's a bad pattern. I wouldn't do this on a real project. I would abstract these screens into reusable components that then I can just import in the routes. But overall, the code is decent. I would rate this from 0 to 10. I would give it an 8. Now let's check Fable. This looks way more cleaner. It created an abstraction and I think it took it from my AI tattoo application or the Plátano template using the MCP. So definitely that made a difference. It's way cleaner and that leads to less code at the end of the day. Using Expo UI looks great. Passing modifiers, it learned how to use modifiers. So that's great. Overall, I would rate this a 9 because it's less code, it has a better icon, and the code looks cleaner. So that's the code review. Now let's actually take a look at the application, right? Because if it works, it works. I'm going to use my physical device since Fable did it by itself. Let's actually allow this. We actually need to do this the first time. We can see the splash screen and then the onboarding screen, which is compatible with dark mode. For some reason, I like this icon better. When I press a button, I can see the animation, and if I press continue, I feel a haptic. Of course, this is hard to transmit on screen, but it feels nice. It feels premium. And then we get onboarded to the notifications, so I'm going to allow it. So same flow so far, very similar results, but I like this way better because the no habits, the empty state here, I think it looks better, right? And it's also compatible with dark mode. It's handling it cleanly. It gives the app a personality because we are using the flame. The app name is actually Ember, and the empty state on the habits, it's working better. The plus icon at the top, it works nice. The UI, it's pretty similar, and actually there is a little issue here. As you can see, we are kind of like missing the header. We do have a very similar UI for creating a new habit. This is responding to my input. So let's say walk outside. I can press the enter blue key here, and this will dismiss. I can also enable a reminder every day. This will show me the wheel every day at 4 p.m. Okay, cool. And then this is a bit tricky because the add button is hidden. Yeah, I'm not able to add it. So unfortunately, I'm gonna need to prompt Fable 5 to fix the header, because otherwise I'm not able to create the habit right now. So I ask it to use this tag toolbar. It's an API from Export Router that should render a native header instead of a custom view, which is what it's trying to do right now. Okay, so Fable 5 was able to fix it. Let's try to create the walk outside. Nice, so this feels great. I can play within distance, and when I select here the item, it focuses and opens. Okay, so that's great. We have another error here with Fable 5. It gave me this warning. I can try to dismiss it, but this is actually going to crash the application. So I'm gonna need to create a new prompt for Fable to fix that. Okay, so the issue has been fixed according to Fable. Oh, and the habit was actually created, so I can complete it. And we get a nice animation. Okay, this animation is way better. We have kind of like particles showing, and I have actually a nice haptic feedback every time that I complete something for today. This is really nice. I can go to my habits. We have zoom transitions. Let's send a test notification. And I got it. So since I'm sharing the screen on my phone, this is how it looks. It has the title, and when I open it, let's see if I can get it here. Okay, great. And I also get it on my Apple Watch, which is really nice. Not sure if you can see it there, but it's there. Okay, so final test. Let's check the widget. Okay, we have actually a non-working widget. It wasn't able to handle it. So at this point, I'm not going to create follow-ups. Maybe I could spend more tokens trying to make the widgets work. Unfortunately, the agents, neither of them were able to handle the widget. That said, the data looks really nice. We get cool animations here when we create our first habit. It works nicely. We have a name, we have an icon, and this feels like a real product. Overall, my rate for the Fable 5 application would be an 8. Testing the Opus 4.8 application, it's named Tally. We can see the icon here on the simulator. Let's press on it, and we get the onboarding screen. Overall, I like it. Let's check if it's compatible with dark mode. And it is, and it looks nice. I really like the blue color as the primary color. When I press the button, I can see that it has haptics. It's using Presto for animations, and I'm not able to swipe, but that's fine. I think that's a good trade-off. We have the continue button. It's really nice that it did it this way. UI is simple, it's how I like it, and it's just the benefit of using the MCP overall. So let's press continue. We have nice transitions between steps. We have the build straights that stick. Okay, continue. And then gentle reminders. Let's go ahead and enable notifications. I'm gonna allow it. Boom, we are taken to the home screen. Now, a couple things to check here is that I'm going to just quit the app and then open it again to make sure that the application is actually saving the state, because I'm a user that is onboarded at this point. We have a nice icon, title, description, and a call to action that is telling me add a habit, okay? On the top right, I'm not a huge fan of this plus, but it's using liquid glass. What can I say, right? We have liquid glass bottom tabs. Now the history, you can see here that it's not very well centered. We have the settings screen. This looks great. I really like it. We have nice transitions, test notification, okay. We are able to test the notification. We are getting the notification locally. That is amazing. Let's send a new test. I'm going to close the app, and if I press on the notification, it opens the app. Let's create a habit. Okay, I like this screen. My habit is walk outside. We can select a symbol, pick a color. I think I'll use blue for now. I want to do that every day, and I do want a reminder every day at 4 p.m. Close the app. Let's go ahead and open the widget. Okay, and we have an error. Unfortunately, it's not working the first time, and that will require me to keep prompting. Even as an experienced engineer, I would need to dive into the code and first learn what the AI did before I can actually change it and try to fix it. But didn't work. I'm not going to keep prompting because I already spent a lot of money. We can see the heat map, which is what I wanted. Let's complete it. Let's check if the heat map is updating. That looks great. And then let's load sample data to see how this would look like with multiple habits. Okay, and I can see my consistency across multiple days. I really like it. The UI feels amazing. It's using native colors, which was another thing that I asked for. Definitely, it's a solid application. Couple details that didn't work really nice, like the empty state here, and then the plus icon. I feel like this could improve as well, but overall, I'm happy. Between 0 to 10, I would rate this application 6.5 because I can tell that it was generated by AI. So, is Fable 5 worth double the price? My honest take after this, I would say yes. The reason for that is because Opus 4.8 used more tokens and it didn't cost me 50%. So it wasn't actually 50% cheaper, it was like only 25% cheaper. And I need to still iterate and the results weren't as good as Fable 5. That said, both models are great. As we saw on the demo applications, we were able to create the app. And if you're already experienced and if you already know what you want, you can get the work done with Opus 4.8. But if you would try to make something more complex, and this was an entire application from zero, it took less time with Fable 5, it cost a little more, but I would definitely keep using Fable 5 for more complex tasks and when I actually want something higher quality without having to go and iterate with the agent. Fable 5 was able to deliver a really great application. The code was nice. I was able to dive into it. Many of the reasons for that is because I provided the code with Beto MCP server. I provided some skills for the icon, and then I know how everything works. So I'm able to dive into the code, make some tweaks, and actually get what I want. But if you're not familiar with the code, every iteration will cost you more money, especially when the context window is already loaded. Every follow-up prompt will be more expensive because you have all the context that is being sent on each prompt. So being able to just trying to one-shot something solid and from there iterate, that's the reason that will put you ahead if you already know how to code. But if you don't, you will need to keep prompting and spend more tokens. For tasks that don't require high skills, I would use Opus 4.8 100% of the time. It's cheaper and the results are good. If today made you want to actually learn React Native, not just watch agents do it, everything used lives in one place, my course. Real fundamentals plus AI workflow on top of the MCP server you just saw today. In my book, From Idea to App Store, we have so many great resources, and if you're starting from zero, definitely is the best first step that you can take. And if you'd rather keep watching builds, check out this other video. I'll see you there.